This is the VOA Special English Education Report. The number of international students in the United States is at record levels. Last year, more than 670,000 foreign students attended an American college or university. And for the 8th year, the school with the largest number was the University of Southern California in Los Angeles. USC has about 6,600 international students in regular academic programs. 1 in 4 graduate students and 1 in 10 undergraduates come from other countries. In a special class, international students meet with American students and learn about American life, says instructor Vincent Vigil. He says, we are able to have them interact with American students, but then also ask them any sort of simple questions that you may ask another person. What do you like to do for fun? Why did you choose USC? What do you do on the weekends? Just simple things, so that way they get to understand what it means to be an American student. Sports fans know the University of Southern California for its athletics, but students say they come for the strong academic programs. The university's ties are strongest with Asia. Tony Tambaskia, director of the Office of International Services, says USC actively seeks international students. He says, we currently have students from about 115 different places of origin around the world. India is first with over 1,500 students. We have almost as many from mainland China. Yuan-Si Zhao from Beijing is working on her master's degree in communication management. She says, I have lots of friends that came to USC. That is the main reason I wanted to come. Some students come to study business or liberal arts, or to attend the university's highly rated engineering school. Indian engineering student Rahul Kola says the international student population was part of the school's appeal. California's climate is also appealing. Foreign students not only give schools more applicants to choose from, they also provide money. Undergraduate students from other countries usually pay full tuition at American colleges and universities. Only a small percentage receive financial aid. And that's the VOA Special English Education Report. Check out our Foreign Student Series for those interested in studying in the United States. Click on the link at voaspecialenglish.com.
This is the VOA Special English Education Report. For years, the University of California, Los Angeles has done a national survey of first-year college students. Some questions in the freshman survey relate to emotional health and stress. Last year, 29% said they often felt overwhelmed by all they had to do in their last year of high school. That was 2 percentage points higher than the year before. There was a big difference between men and women. Almost 40% of women reported feeling that level of stress, compared to just 18% of men. Deborah Stipek is Dean of the School of Education at Stanford University in California. She says a lot of students are under too much pressure from parents and schools. They are not enjoying what can be the incredible satisfaction of learning and developing understandings and skills. Learning can be an adventure, but instead of an adventure, it's really about the test. It's about the college application. Professor Stipek recently wrote about this issue in the journal Science. She used the example of her own daughter in high school. Her daughter has taken advanced placement, or AP courses, in French to earn credit toward college. She told her mother she would be happy to never speak French again. Deborah Stipek says, "I think that revealed the real basic problem, which is the AP courses that she was taking in French were not about learning French, not about being able to communicate with a different culture, or to travel, or to have a skill that could be useful in life. It was about getting a score on an AP test that would help her get into the college of her choice." She works with schools to do yearly surveys of students to find out their sources of stress and anxiety and get their ideas for supportive policies. We've gone into schools where they say, "This isn't a problem." And then they do a survey of the students, and they are just blown away by what they get back from the students when the students are actually asked. In 2009, a documentary film looked at the pressure on many students to succeed in school and in lives busy with activities and homework. The film is called Race to Nowhere. Deborah Stipek, who was interviewed in the film, says it shows that many students today are not experiencing the joys of learning. They feel under enormous pressure to perform. Perform, she says, as opposed to learn. For VOA Special English, I'm Carolyn Prasuti.
This is the VOA Special English Education Report. A 3-year effort in developing countries will seek to put 25 million children in school for the first time. Another goal of the Global Partnership for Education is to train 600,000 teachers. The partnership recently awarded nearly $170 million in grants to 7 countries. These were the first grants since the organization changed its name a few months ago from the Fast Track Initiative. Fast Track was founded in 2002. Charles Tapp is an advisor to the partnership. He says, "There had been a lot of evolution of the old Fast Track Initiative, which was essentially something of a donors club, I think. And what was clear from our perspective was that we were not just a funding entity. This was indeed a partnership." The partnership includes almost 50 developing countries, as well as donors, civil society groups, and teacher organizations. It also includes private companies, international development banks, and United Nations agencies. The latest grants were awarded to Afghanistan, Ivory Coast, Guinea-Bissau, Mali, Moldova, Mongolia, and Timor-Leste. Mr. Tapp says the grant to Afghanistan is worth almost $56 million. He says the Afghan government has made a very strong commitment of allocating as much of its own resources as it can for education. Historically, Afghanistan has had some very, very well-educated people. They tend to come from sort of the urban centers. But obviously, given the recent troubles and problems in Afghanistan over the last 20 years or so, the quality of education has plummeted. Mr. Tapp says Ivory Coast received $41 million to help in its recovery from the recent political violence there. One goal is to get school feeding programs in place. Mr. Tapp says more countries are now looking for help from the partnership. Unfortunately, given the current global financial climate and the fact that there are still 67 million kids out of school around the world, demand for our financing seems to be increasing rather than decreasing. But many donor countries are reducing their spending. So, he says the partnership must show them that their money is being well spent. He says it's very clear that in the global partnership partner countries that you're seeing more kids getting to school for longer and for a better education. And as education improves, he says, so does the health of a country. For VOA Special English, I'm Alex Villarreal.
From VOA Learning English, this is the Education Report. A new experimental program using MOOCs, or Massive Open Online Courses, opened recently in Kigali, Rwanda. The Kepler Project is designed for people in the developing world. It uses MOOCs provided by foreign universities. It combines these online classes with help from local instructors and an internship program. A business foundation is helping to finance the first 4 years of the project. The students in the Kepler Project pay no tuition. 50 students are taking part in the first class in Rwanda. Canadian educational consultant Tony Bates praises the Kepler program for giving students a way to earn college credits. Students can earn academic credit through the Kepler Project's agreement with Southern New Hampshire University in the United States. Mr. Bates also praises Kepler for providing local support and tutoring in Rwanda. But he says a lack of technology limits the usefulness of such a system in Africa. He says developing countries lack enough internet service outside major cities. Students may have mobile phones, but usually with very low bandwidth. Mr. Bates says it costs $1 American to watch an 8-minute YouTube video on a low-cost handset. That is about the same as many Africans earn in a day. Tony Bates says streaming long video lectures would be too expensive for at least the next 5 to 10 years. He says using materials designed for mobile devices may be better. He notes examples like math videos from the Khan Academy and courses from the Carnegie Mellon Open Learning Initiative. He says these materials are designed for distance learning and are more interactive. For VOA Learning English, I'm Carolyn Prasuti.
From VOA Learning English, this is the Education Report. UNICEF, the United Nations Children's Fund, has reported some good news about education in 2 areas of Somalia. Puntland and Somaliland are now relatively peaceful and secure, at least compared to central and southern Somalia. A study found that in Puntland, the share of students in primary education increased from 26% to 43% over the last 5 years. A smaller increase was reported in Somaliland. In both cases, the gains in school attendance were greater among boys than among girls. Girls leaving school is a problem across Somalia. For example, only 1/3 of Somali girls who had completed first grade took the Form 4 exam in the 2011-2012 school year. And girls represent only 28% of students in Somali secondary schools. The communications chief for UNICEF in Somalia, Susanna Price, says more schools are being built. She says the agency is developing projects in several fields of education. She also says UNICEF has been working on training teachers and developing non-traditional forms of education. Some of these programs are for children of families that herd livestock and move from place to place. Susanna Price says education is very important to the future of Somalia. But there are problems in getting parents to send girls to school. The spokeswoman says UNICEF encourages equality between males and females in education. More universal education could help Puntland and Somaliland also improve other areas of development, such as health care. For VOA Learning English, I'm Laurel Bowman.
This is the VOA Special English Education Report. In the last 10 years, hundreds of American schools have begun to offer a new way to teach foreign languages. This method is called dual or two-way immersion. Here's how it works at London Town Elementary School in Centerville, Virginia, outside Washington. In some classes, only Spanish is spoken, even during the Pledge of Allegiance, a morning tradition for American school children. In one second grade class, the children learn math and other subjects completely in Spanish. Later in the day, they learn only in English. Half of the children are from families that speak Spanish at home. The other half are native English speakers. Myra Almeida is the teacher. She says when both these groups come together, they are learning from one another, which is very good. Helen Arzola teaches the youngest children. She says a child before age 8 is a language learning machine, so this is the best time to learn a language. She says her kindergartners from English-speaking families may have never heard Spanish before. And she says children from Spanish-speaking families benefit from learning in their own language. Helen Arzola says the goal of the dual language program is to teach low-income Hispanic children English, good English, social English, and academic English. But some people are still not sure about these programs. They say bilingual education has not always taught Hispanic students enough English. London Town Elementary is in Fairfax County, Virginia. The county also offers immersion programs in French, German, and Japanese. One sixth grader at London Town says it's not like traditional teaching. Another student says she likes to learn other languages. But a national survey found that in recent years, foreign language teaching decreased in public elementary and middle schools. Fewer schools teach French, German, Russian, or Japanese. Some schools say a federal education law from the last administration has hurt language teaching. This law only requires testing of progress in math and reading. Schools also face language teacher shortages and now budget cuts caused by the economy. And that's the VOA Special English Education Report. You can watch a video of this report by Jerome Sokolovsky at voaspecialenglish.com.
From VOA Learning English, this is the Education Report. Entrance examinations have been causing problems at the University of Liberia in Monrovia. The exams help to decide whom the university will accept as a student. The trouble began after an education specialist, James Dorborjala, was named to direct and administer the testing. Recently, about 25,000 high school students took the test, but failed. Mr. Dorborjala says he and his team want to show that a fair examination can be held. He says some Liberians think they cannot enter the university unless they make a financial gift in return. He said the university has been trying to decide how to oversee the process so that people's abilities would be measured on the basis of their performance on the examinations. Last year, the University of Liberia accepted about 7,000 new students after they took a similar exam. But that test was judged differently. Mr. Dorborjala says the university sought his help because it had problems in the past with entrance exams. The country's Minister of Education says she does not think that all the students failed the test. Some of the students have held protests at the university. They say they were cheated out of more than $20, which was required to register for the test. It appeared that the university would have no first-year students until Liberian President Ellen Johnson Sirleaf met with university officials. The officials then said they would lower admission test requirements and accept at least 1,600 people. Mr. Dorborjala says the most recent test results were based on raw scores. A raw score does not take into account how well individuals perform within a group of students. For VOA Learning English, I'm Carolyn Prasuti.
This is the VOA Special English Education Report. Last week, we told you how some international students have few friends in their host countries when they study overseas. One study in the United States found that 38% of foreign students said they had no close American friends. Communications specialist Elizabeth Garys studied more than 450 foreign students. VOA's Jessica Stahl also investigated the issue in her blog, The Student Union. Her survey showed 75% of foreign students said they have more than 2 American friends, but 10% reported having no American friends. Elizabeth Garys at Baruch College in New York says efforts to improve relationships between the two groups of students have yet to be studied in detail. She says these efforts should begin with the college or university. Elizabeth Garys says teaching institutions should build systems that support contact. They can do that, she says, with group activities early in the school year. She suggests taking walks, going on bicycle, field, or camping trips, and attending parties, sporting events, or film festivals. She says such activities should be held repeatedly to bring students together throughout the school term. Elizabeth Garys also suggests that foreign students share housing with American students. Michigan State University is known for its programs for international students. Last year, about 5,900 students from 133 countries attended Michigan State. They made up perhaps 12% of the total university population. Peter Briggs directs the Office for International Students and Scholars at Michigan State. He says more foreign students are expected to register this year. Many students and community members are trained and prepared to help foreign students. The volunteers assist new students as they complete government requirements and find their academic advisors. Peter Briggs says the volunteers also help answer their traditional questions of new people anywhere. Where do I get an identification card? Which is the best bank? What is my cell phone plan? How do I get a social security number or driver's license? He says that kind of information is shared both formally and informally as students advise other students. We're really supporting that network, he says. Peter Briggs also notes that if the new students make friends as they begin school, they will come to feel part of the life and traditions of the university. For VOA Special English, I'm Laurel Bowman.
From VOA Learning English, this is the Education Report in Special English. Drexel University in Philadelphia, Pennsylvania, is more than 120 years old. In 2009, the university opened Drexel University, Sacramento, in California. 11 international students were part of the first class at Drexel University, Sacramento. Today, 32 international students are at the school, and they are all from China. The master's degree in finance program is almost entirely Chinese students. Most of the students are from Shanghai, a big financial center. Some are from the capital, Beijing. Sandra Kirschman is executive director at the university. She says a master's degree in finance is very attractive and a top degree in terms of return on investment. Drexel University started its master's degree in finance program in Philadelphia. Sandra Kirschman says it became popular with Chinese students from Shanghai and Beijing, and they told their friends. The Philadelphia campus has finance students from other countries as well. But Sandra Kirschman says the Sacramento program may appeal to Chinese students because the West Coast is closer to China and a gateway to the Pacific Rim. The courses are taught in English. She says students must do well on the TOEFL, or test of English as a foreign language, to be admitted to the university. The 18-month program costs about $55,000. International students pay full tuition. Sandra Kirschman says this helps the nonprofit university balance its budget and offer financial help to American students. Drexel's Sacramento location currently accepts only graduate students, but an undergraduate business program will start in the fall of 2013. For VOA Learning English, I'm Carolyn Persutti.
This is the VOA Special English Education Report. The word cabaret brings to mind images of singers in nightclubs, or maybe Liza Minnelli performing years ago in the movie Cabaret. What the word does not bring to mind is college dormitories, dining halls, and early morning classes. But for the past 8 summers, hopeful singers have come to the International Cabaret Conference at Yale University. Think of it as a cabaret training camp in New Haven, Connecticut. The artistic director is Irv Rabel, a club owner in New York City. He says cabaret is a deeply emotional experience for a singer. Learning how to touch the heart of the audience may be the main goal of the conference. But the students also learn how to dress and do their hair and makeup. And they learn about sound, lighting, and marketing. The 38 students this year were ages 16 to 66. They came from all over the United States and other countries. Harold Sanditon is from the state of Oklahoma. He began his professional life as an investment banker. Then he became a theater producer for 20 years in London. Then he gave that up 3 years ago to start singing, which is what he wanted to do in the first place, but he never had the confidence. Harold Sanditon and his classmates had the chance to spend 9 days working with top music directors and cabaret artists. They included Laurel Massey, an original member of the singing group Manhattan Transfer, and Faith Prince, a Tony Award-winning actress. So now it is time for the first performance session. Mr. Sanditon tries his own version of a Beatles song. Faith Prince likes it, but she tells him not to close his eyes while singing. Mr. Sanditon nods his head in agreement and tries again. His classmate, Lindsay Sutherland Bowl, is a singer from Vancouver, Canada. She trained in opera, but she changed her mind and became interested in cabaret singing. The teachers think she sounds too theatrical at times. They work with her through a week of 14-hour days. Ms. Bowl says it is not just about singing. It is all about storytelling. While she knew that before, she understands that at a much deeper level now. On the last night, all the students have 3 minutes to show what they have learned in front of a paying audience. The concert is called Cabaret Stars of Tomorrow. And that's the VOA Special English Education Report.